Today we're joined by Tim Heath, the CEO of CoinGaming.io. He talks a little bit about his transition from affiliate to operator, and then what's the future of SportsBet.io.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Everywhere you turn, it's the same old sports talk, the same headlines, the same news, and the same boring information. This podcast is here to change all of that. We bring you hot sports takes, winning sports betting strategy and picks, reliable gaming industry news, and breaking interviews with some of the biggest names in sports business. My name is Ryan Newpel, and welcome to the Noop Sports Show. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Noop Sports Show. I'm your host, Ryan Newpel, here with you each and every episode. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time today to hear what we have to say, what we're talking about in the world of sports, especially during this crazy shutdown time with this pandemic going on. Hopefully things are getting back to normal, but I definitely appreciate you giving us a little slice of your time. Today, we're joined by another guest. We have the CEO of CoinGaming.io, the co-founder of OneTouch.io, Tim Heath, on the line with us. Tim, are you with me?
Ryan, good to speak to you. How are you? Thanks for having me along.
I'm doing well today. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate you being here with us. I've been hoping to have you on for quite some time, so thank you for carving out a little time for us today.
Not a problem at all.
So how are you doing through this? I have to ask first. I mean, this seems like the common question on these types of episodes lately is, how are you holding up through this COVID-19 pandemic, and how has that affected your business, I guess, before we get started here about what your business is? How have you been holding up personally?
Personally, I've been loving it. I've been working 16-hour days, and I think it was Winston Churchill who once famously said, with every crisis comes opportunity. And the message I sort of went out to the company with straight away when shit hit the fan, figuratively speaking, was that, right, we're all at home, we're all here to work. How do we find solutions outside of the box, and how do we make the best of a bad situation? There's no point complaining about the situation. We're going to control the controllables and get on with it. So we, very interestingly, I never thought table tennis would be our highest turnover sport, especially Ukrainian table tennis. And I was actually lucky enough to go down and visit the studio before the COVID-19 thing started, and saw it all in action, and saw all these table tennis tables lined up in a gymnasium there in Kiev, and they're all playing with all the live streaming cameras. But yeah, look, it's quite amazing. There's the table tennis has been great. Belarusian football has been obviously of great interest, and then the real interesting one for me has been the e-FIFA. Not necessarily the e-sports being your CS:GO and your Dota and whatnot, but the e-FIFA and the e-NBA 2K, and we've actually just launched an e-cricket product for the Indian market. And seeing the take-up of that has been quite unbelievable. It just shows you that people want to bet, and that they're not sort of. I've always thought people were very much interested in trying to gather as much information about a sport and be really knowledgeable and do the stats and go through it all. In the end of the day, people want to be entertained, and they want to use their time and enjoy their time. And if that means watching an e-FIFA game and putting a few bucks on it, that's perfectly acceptable for vast majority of recreational punters. So it's been good to provide our players with content that they're really enjoying. So that's been from the sports betting side, and then obviously from the casino side, our live dealer has gone bananas, and all the slots. And there's a story. I had one of the Asian operators ring me up, and he said, we're all in lockdown in Manila, and the dealers couldn't go home because of the lockdown, so they put bunk beds into the back of the studio for the dealers to sleep in the studio. And then he said, that's been now cancelled. And he said, do you know of any European studios where we can have a live dealer? And I said, well, we're opening a land-based casino in about a year's time. He goes, oh, I need something now. So I said, oh, give me a month. And as it turns out, we launched our live dealer studio in Estonia last Friday with 20 tables, and we're now working with them and helping them run a full studio. So in that sense, it's the opportunities which have come. We wouldn't have normally done this, but there was an opportunity there, so we took it and did 16-hour days and made it happen. And so to sum it up, I've really enjoyed the lockdown period, and I think it should last for longer.
Well, man, that was quite the answer there. You touched on quite a few things there. I want to echo what you said, and I truly believe that you have to see the good in things, and especially
running a business and operating a business that you're doing that the right way, because you can go one of two ways on that, right? You can go either positive or negative, and I always choose the positive mindset, which will get you further in the end. So props to you on that. So you touched on a lot of things with business and kind of touched on what you guys are doing, but give us give us an overview of what coingaming.io is and OneTouch.io, whatever you want to touch on, but give us just a 100-foot view of what that is.
So I've been in the industry about 20 years now. I was a poker player back in the day. I got lucky enough to win the Sunday Millions back in 2005 on Stars, and loved my poker and worked in that industry for a long time as an affiliate and as a master affiliate and as a rakeback affiliate. And it all came crashing down in about 2012 when some networks couldn't reconcile money. We were an operator then as well. So we were left to foot a rather large bill of money not being reconciled to us. So we sort of managed to pay out all the players, borrowed money from my parents actually, and paid out all the players. And we were having a Christmas dinner. We were about 20, 25 people back then. And, I always give a toast over Christmas dinner and said, we've got a bunch of smart people here and, we can do anything we want if only we control the money. Then we can, we're not bound by what other people, how they're going to control where the money flows. And my CTO sort of said, well, what about Bitcoin? I'm like, what's Bitcoin? And everyone started Googling about it. And he said a few words over a vodka. And I think it was in a month we had our first, it was actually a Bitcoin poker network. It was back when Satoshi, Seals with Clubs was actually doing quite well back in the day. So we started a Bitcoin poker network, but we put a few slot games up on the side of it, and people started playing these slots. And I'm like, being a poker purist, I was very much against casino games. I thought, no, I think if we can rent a poker table, it's a lot better. But all of a sudden, people playing the slots, and we started making, 10 grand a month, and then 20 grand a month, and 50 grand a month. And it's like, okay, I think we can forget about the poker now. Let's focus on making a casino.
Sure.
And that was the genesis of bitcasino.io. And now these days, it's obviously the biggest Bitcoin casino in the world, and I think we were the first licensed one as well. And I was out lobbying with NetEnt and Microgaming and Evolution and all the tier one suppliers to try and teach them about Bitcoin, working with all the compliance people and legal counsels and saying how it's actually even more transparent than using credit cards or bank transfers to understand the flow, the source of money. And, from an AML perspective, you can see more where the money's moving, and you can have a much clearer picture of player funds as it enters the site and exits the site. So, yeah, we pushed forward with that and got to understand there was a lot of like the Prime Dice and the and those types of sites back in the day, which were sort of, I used to call them backyard operators, run by a couple of people and very successfully, no doubt, but they lacked the professionalism of a fully blown casino. So that's where we saw our opportunity to really come in and run a proper, licensed casino with all the top slot providers. And, we did that. And our goal, very simple thing, was that we wanted to pay everybody within 2 minutes. Because, as a poker player, I hated having to wait 4 or 5 days for my payout to come when you had a win on Stars or Full Tilt or whatnot. Or I know it was UB and Absolute Poker. They weren't the best or the quickest payers in the market. So I sort of said, well, from a player's perspective, this is what we want, and this is what we should give our players. So as it turns out, if someone won $10 or they won $1 million or $500,000, we were paying within 2 minutes, and we built our whole strategy around that, under the knowledge that within 6 hours that money would come back into the site. Because in essence, it's a digital poker chip or a digital casino chip, and all you want to do as a player is hold those winnings in your hand. Sure. You're not actually going to go and buy the bread and the milk with it. You can if you cash it out, through an exchange, but just holding those winnings, it means they're yours, and that's one of those great things as a player to do that. But then you get that little itch saying, I'll just have one more game. And it's funny how the deposits come back in a Fibonacci sequence. So it's, we've done a lot of analysis around it, but it's been a really good USP. And we've built a business around it. Then about 2016, it was a couple of months before the Euro Cup, the European Soccer Championships. And I said to the team, I think we need a sports book. And I love buying my domain names, and I bought sportsbet.io back in the day. And so, 3 months later, we put a sports book out there and ran it for the Euros, and started getting into sports betting. And it's a real passion of mine. And it's been great to learn from the other side of the bookmaker side, how to run a sports book. Obviously, you had to bring in a number of professionals who had worked, whether it be at William Hill or GVC or BWin or some of the big European books, and building the sports book out there. And, now that, we take some pretty big bets. I think the biggest bet we took was 2.3 million euros during the World Cup in 2018.
I'd say that's
fortunately, fortunately, the Chinese fella didn't win that one, which is good.
Well, that's quite a career path. Yeah, I mean, keep going. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. So that's sort of the B2C sites, and we've just really tried to push and continually grow them, and just keep always putting the customer at the center of the universe and doing what we can, because at heart we're punters ourselves, and we know what the players expect, and a real dedication towards looking after our VIPs, but also looking after the smaller punters as well, to give everyone a good, we're asking them to deposit their money with us. We can't be assholes to them, We've got to be good citizens and a good book that, if you win, we actually want to celebrate that. And I always say to our customer support staff, it's very simple. It's like flipping a coin 100 times. We're going to win 51 times, and the punter's going to win 49 times. Let's celebrate that victory, because the maths will take care of itself. But if we need to celebrate that victory as a punter and be happy for them. And if we, on all levels of our transacting with a customer and our communication with a customer follows that theme, it actually becomes quite an enjoyable experience. And
Sure.
I think our players really appreciate that as well. And then you're paid within 2 minutes. So it's a win-win situation for all.
Absolutely. That's a great mindset to have there too. Man, you have quite the background, and I'm going to go a little different direction than maybe you're typically asked, because I've been in this affiliate world as well for quite some time. I don't know if you even remember. We crossed paths back in like 2011 or 2012 or something like that.
Casino affiliate listings or poker affiliate listings?
Yeah. We had some interactions back there. And I remember you working on some sites and some domains and things of that nature. So my question really leads, or not my question, but more my statement is, being on the affiliate side of things, you see the industry, I guess, the iGaming industry, no matter what your vertical you're in, but you see it kind of in a different manner than you would as kind of an operator now. Tell me about that transition and just that, I guess, the difference in the transition from affiliate to now actually an operator, and just some of the pain points or rewarding activity or something that goes into the kind of that transition. Because I think a lot of listeners of this show probably have kind of that affiliate background or that affiliate passion in them. But that transition from that to operator just sounds super daunting, and like, oh my gosh, how in the world do you even go about that? So I'd love to hear a little bit about the affiliate to operator transition.
So being an affiliate back in the day, it was always, we can get an iPoker deal at 62.5%. So we can now move every single player from one rackback affiliate to another one on a financial incentive. And I think affiliates were they weren't working in partnership with a site. They were working particularly only for themselves and only on that acquisition path, because that's where they were being paid. And look, it's funny these days, given my experience with affiliates, I'm trying to say to them, we're not going to go out and give you some ridiculously high affiliate deal, but you know what? We know how to make the lifetime value of a customer, and we know how to retain a customer a lot better than other sites do. So in the long term, you will make more money with us at a 35% deal rather than with that other group at a 50% deal, because they're wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So I think the mindset from an affiliate, they've been screwed by operators that many times. You listeners, you get a whale on board, and then you're thinking, this is fantastic. I've been, of my last 100 signups and all that content I've written and all the backlinks I've done, and I've finally snagged a whale. And then you log into your, what was it, Stats Remote? I remember it was the software we used to use. Where's that whale gone? Because some bastard of an operator, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm can swear here or not, but
it's okay.
The arsehole of the operator they've gone and snagged that one for themselves because they know, why would they give away 50% of someone who's worth $500,000, because that could be their KPIs, their numbers. Everyone becomes very, very selfish when the model is sort of drilled down like this, and people forget about the partnership aspect of it. So I think the other thing with being an operator, there's so many different parts to running a site. It's not just focusing on the acquisition tunnel and then converting a registration to a first-time depositor and a second-time deposit and whatnot. You need to worry about your payment processing. You need to worry about your customer support. You've got different languages. You've got marketing creatives. You've got on-site SEO. You've got off-site SEO. You've got fraud. You've got reconciliations with game providers and suppliers. You've got VIP management. It's a bigger business. And, you know, as an affiliate, we were 20 people. You know, 5 or 6 programmers, you know, who are all still with me to this day, you know, a support team and some accountants and whatnot. And now we're 380 people, which is, it's a completely different business, but it's harder, but it's obviously more rewarding.
Sure.
And I don't know what operators' feelings about affiliates are these days. I've got a soft spot for them because I went through the struggles of being an affiliate. I think the affiliates also hurt themselves a little bit when they become sort of, right, well, we're now controlling all your traffic. So your Cartinas, your rate techs, your Excel medias have come out and bought up everybody and basically debt funded their acquisition spree. They then control that traffic. So if you want to go in the Swedish market or the Scandinavian market, you're going to one of 3 operators and they say, our terms are $200 CPA and a 40% rev share. And if you don't like it, we've got 7 other white labels lined up who want a piece of the action. Now, the danger here as an operator, if you're using a white label, you can end up only clearing 15% of the net margin because you're paying the platform, you're paying the game providers, you're paying the payment processing, you've got fraud, you've got affiliates, you've got fixed costs on the CPA as well. There's not that much left over at the end of the day. So you're nearly you're controlled by the affiliates, which again, it's not working that sort of same partnership model. So I think there's a real clash of goals between affiliates and operators. And I've enjoyed becoming an operator, but then trying to look after my old affiliates who I used to work with previously, saying, I know where you're coming from, guys. This is how we do it. If we work together, this is what we can do together. Just being honest to affiliates. And one of the big things when we built our own affiliate software, I wanted to show all bets in real time. So people couldn't be removed from a program because it's about showing trust and reputation and honesty in what you're doing, that we want affiliates to trust us because, heck, that's what we do. So here's a real-time feed of every transaction. We've got it from an operator perspective. Why shouldn't your affiliate have it?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. Love that story and everything about it. And affiliates listening, I mean, Tim and Coin Gaming and what they're doing at SportsBet.io, I think no better team to work with than Tim and those guys over there. So, Tim, where are you guys?
Especially if you've got Japanese traffic. They're very, very happy to talk to any affiliate with Japanese traffic at the moment.
Japanese traffic. Okay, if you have Japanese traffic, definitely reach out. So where are you guys heading? What's the future look like for you guys? Anything? I know you said live dealer. You know, the live dealer stuff is exploding right now, and I can attest to that as well. I mean, it's just something that's like really hot, especially with everybody being home. What's new? What's coming up after that, or where do you expect the market to go? Maybe after COVID-19's kind of fizzled out and we're kind of back to I'll call it a normal routine. Where do you guys see the future and the opportunity for you guys?
So for us, we've been very lucky being on board early with the crypto equation. We got to a stage we're doing very well and very happy, and it's like, what do we do next? And so in the end, we set up a venture capital company and put a few bucks into that. And we've been heavily investing into our ecosystem. So I think we've invested into 5 different slot companies. We've just invested into a bank in Europe because I like to control the money, as I said earlier.
Sure.
We've invested into an insurance company. We invested into a Chinese sort of livescore.com. It's called Dongquidi. an app in China, which has 50 million daily active users, which, would you believe, it's quite crazy. We also decided to sponsor Watford Football Club in the English Premier League, which has been fantastic, and also Flamengo, the ones in the Brazilian Serie A. So we're trying to create a brand which is, I know we're not here. We're not here just for a short-term kick. We actually want to create something really long-term and have an ecosystem around it which supports what we're doing. One really good example: we have live chat software on our site, and it was a Polish company called LiveChatInc.com. Really, really good software. And I rang up the CEO and I said, "This is really great. Can we inject our data warehouse information, our business intelligence into the chat, so our customer support can have all the relevant information about the customer they're speaking to, and do some machine learning and work out how many free spins we should give to this customer, to improve the efficiency?" And they said, "That's a great idea. Maybe we can do it next year." So I turned around and said, "Right, let's put a team together." And we've now built our own live chat software called comms.io. And we've built that from the ground up exactly to our needs. But it's also exact to the gaming industry needs. So we can now take these products out to market, firstly on a B2C basis with ourselves, but also on a B2B basis, and hopefully generate some SaaS revenue. And we can incubate a company within our ecosystem to give it enough fuel and customer distribution that we can take it to market and actually let it grow its own legs. So that's where I'm finding it's a really interesting part within the gaming industry, is sort of those supporting services and companies, and how do we build something better for ourselves that we can sell to the market to help other operators or other affiliates with what they're doing. Because in today's day and age with computers, we should just be using the smartness of a computer. Our job needs to be fine-tuning them and guiding the computer, but 90% of the decision-making should be done by the computer. So if we can build that efficiency ourselves, then let's spread it out there and charge a few bucks for it.
Sure. Totally makes sense. What about on the sports side? What is your vision for sports when it returns? I personally think it's going to just explode. I think as you alluded to earlier, we crave that bet. We crave getting out there and having a little bit of action and just watching live sports. I mean, I think we all see this now, like how much we actually miss sports. You may take it for granted some days, but now it's like, oh my gosh, I need it. Is that how you feel, that when sports comes back, it's just going to be an onslaught of activity in that space?
So two things here. I've watched the Jordan thing on the Last Dance twice now on Netflix, just because I'm so excited to see real basketball being played again, and by one of the greatest out there. And it's a real pity they didn't give Luke Longley, who's an Australian basketballer, who played in that key piece, the big sentiment. They didn't interview him. But watching sport again, it gets the emotions up and going. We found last weekend when the Bundesliga came back, we've been doing very nicely with our turnover during the COVID-19 time, 60% growth as soon as the Bundesliga came back. Now, we've got a lot of Brazilian players who normally betting only on Brazilian, and especially Flamengo, because we're sponsoring them. Half the Brazilian players are now betting on Bundesliga. Now, they would never have bet on Bundesliga last year, but now these guys are hungry for it. So I think the day when, whether it be basketball, NFL, the football or soccer in Europe, it's going to go bananas. The cricket, when the cricket comes back for the Indians with the IPL, I think the whole industry's in for a huge shock. How many people have been waiting for this time to come back? And they will vote with their pocket, and they will come in very, very heavy with the turnover and the betting on that. So it's look, we've used the time to do a bit of house cleaning to improve our sports book. We're getting our apps ready to, it's a chance to do that housekeeping that you wouldn't normally do when there's business as usual, and to take some time to really clean up the site and make it better and make it faster. We're doing a lot in the Asian markets, so making sure our language support's there. But when that sport turns back on, watch out, it's going to be huge.
Agreed. Well, Tim, I know I could sit here and talk all day, and I know you have a lot of stories and a lot of information, so I definitely appreciate your time being here. But for sake of time, I think we better cut this off. Any last words for the audience here, or I guess give us a little bit about where they can find more about Coin Gaming and Sportsbet.io and things that you're doing? We'll put all the links in the show notes, but any last words for the audience?
Well, one thing is interesting. We obviously sponsoring Watford. We've got a lot of the Watford football shirts, and we've got about 1,000 left over. So if any of the listeners want a Watford shirt, which has a Bitcoin logo on the side of the sleeve, drop us a line, and we'd be very, very happy to send you over a T-shirt from one of the English Premier League clubs. But no, look, I've always said Bitcoin won't turn off American dollars. It won't turn off euros. It's simply a parallel digital currency that has huge benefit for those who want to use those seamless benefits, which it prevails. And especially from those guys who love to have a gamble, Bitcoin's perfect. It's like when you go to the casino, it's a bit of clay, but it holds value that you can seamlessly move across borders. So if you don't have a Bitcoin wallet, go and get one. Try it out, and it's a bit like using Uber for the first time. You'll never go back once you've used it.
You're 100% right about that. That's I was just showing my brother the other day how to go through Bitcoin. I'm like, I can't believe you haven't done this yet. And he's like, it's this easy? I'm like, yep, it's that easy. Yep. So it's very simple once you do it, but it's a little intimidating to start. So
yeah, it is. But using Uber for the first time is also intimidating until you're forced to do it. Then you go, why wasn't I doing this before?
Exactly.
It's an interesting world to be a part of, and especially from a gaming and a gambling, sports betting, and casino perspective, it's certainly the most beautiful digital gambling coin I've seen in my life. So I'm very proud to be a part of this niche part of the industry, and I'm going to keep pushing out and trying to onboard as many people to Bitcoin as I can.
Amazing. Tim, I definitely appreciate your time. Hey, if all these listeners want that shirt, who do they get a hold of, or how do they find you guys to kind of learn more and ask questions?
Come and ping our chat on sportsbet.io and tell us where you've heard about from Knoop's podcast, and we will organise that for you.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I appreciate your time here. Definitely, if you ever need anything, let me know, and you stay safe there, and good luck going forward in the future.
Perfect, mate. Lovely to speak to you.
Have a great day.
Cheers. Okay, bye.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Knoop Sports Show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our iTunes channel today. Plus, visit us at noopsports.com for more picks, previews, strategy, and news. That's knupsports.com.